Today is the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. We remember 14 young women who were brutally murdered at École Polytechnique de Montréal in an act of deepest misogyny. We condemn it, and we stand with their families in mourning this loss. This day takes place during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Nearly 30 years after the events at École Polytechnique, gender-based violence is still rampant around the world, with countless instances that occur here in Canada. I could choose any one of these issues to highlight today. This year's United Nations Women's Campaign for the 16 days is called Leave No One Behind: End Violence Against Women and Girls. Its goal is to promote commitment to a world free from violence for all women and girls around the world, while reaching the most underserved and marginalized, including refugees, migrants, minorities, Indigenous peoples, and populations affected by conflict and natural disasters, amongst others, first. Today, the Prime Minister said that, quote, each of us has the power to make our world more just and more gender equal. Yet there are two glaring issues that the Prime Minister has yet to take significant action on in this regard. First, it's been over a year since the Liberals supported my motion to accept recommendations made by the United Nations that would assist in the prosecution of ISIS terrorists that have perpetrated genocide against the Yazidi people. Today, thousands of Yazidi women are still being held as sexual slaves by ISIS, and international criminal proceedings are not yet underway to bring justice to these women. In her book, Nobel Peace Prize nominee and UN Goodwill Ambassador Nadia Murad, a young Yazidi woman who survived sexual slavery at the hands of ISIS, wrote, "I dream about one day bringing all the militants to justice, all the guards and slave owners, every man who pulled a trigger and pushed my brothers' bodies into their mass graves, every fighter who tried to brainwash young boys into hating their mothers for being Yazidi, every Iraqi who welcomed the terrorists into their city and helped them, thinking to themselves, finally we can be rid of these non-believers. They should all be put on trial before the entire world, like the Nazi leaders after World War II, and not given a chance to hide." Using the body of women as tools of war will never end unless justice is swiftly brought to their oppressors. Canadians have a responsibility to stand and give voice to women who experience gender-based violence, who do not have the platforms or protections of law that we enjoy in our country. It is in this spirit that I asked Justin Trudeau to call for action to bring the case against ISIS to the International Criminal Court in every international forum that he has access to, and to ensure that justice is brought to those who have fought for ISIS and have returned to Canada. This genocide and this gender-based violence will not end without these terrorists being brought to justice. Second, there are more than 200 million women alive today who have undergone female genital mutilation. The United Nations has described this brutal practice as a human rights violation. FGM has a lifelong detrimental effect on women and on girls. This summer, we heard disturbing reports indicating that practitioners of female genital mutilation have been traveling to Canada to perform this procedure. Further, we know that Canadian girls are being taken abroad to have the practice performed on them. Canada cannot stand idly by while this continues to happen. Despite reports that this form of violence against women is happening in Canada, the Trudeau government has decided to remove reference to the practice in its draft version of the Canadian Citizenship Guide. At a time when this practice is on the rise in Canada, we must not turn a blind eye and let our women and girls suffer in silence. Having this language in the Citizenship Guide sheds light on what is historically a rarely discussed topic. It is perpetrated in part because of the shroud of silence in which it is allowed to occur. This language in the Citizenship Guide is an important tool to arm newcomers to Canada with knowledge of their rights with regard to this practice and an understanding that it is not tolerated here. If the Trudeau government truly wants to combat gender-based violence, I ask them to do these three things today. The Prime Minister should lead the global charge in bringing justice to Yazidi women. Keep female genital mutilation in the Citizenship Guide and immediately develop a strategy to end this horrific practice in Canada and abroad. Canada must stand for women around the world who often do not have the platform to raise these issues. Our actions do matter. I'll now turn to my colleague Pierre-Paul.
Okay, merci. Donc, merci Michel. Écoutez, aujourd'hui, à cette journée, 28e anniversaire de la commémoration des attentats de la Polytechnique de Montréal, ça nous rappelle encore une fois que les femmes et les filles dans le monde sont persécutées, maltraités de différentes façons. Et aujourd'hui, un point particulier qui est amené par un collègue qui est ministre du cabinet fantôme pour l'immigration, c'est qu'on demande à Justin Trudeau, de façon directe, de maintenir dans le guide d'immigration le point qui concerne la mutilation génitale des femmes. Actuellement, à l'époque, nous, les conservateurs, avaient mis cette pratique-là comme étant interdite pour nous. On mentionnait aux gens à l'étranger que le Canada n'acceptait pas cette pratique. Et le gouvernement de Justin Trudeau veut l'enlever, donc, par le fait même, permettre à ces gens-là de pratiquer ces choses au Canada. Donc, pour nous, on demande aujourd'hui, il y a une pétition en ligne également, on demande aux Canadiens de nous supporter là-dedans, parce que pour nous, vraiment, le droit des femmes et des filles est ce qui est le plus important. Et pas juste des paroles en l'air, c'est vraiment des actions concrètes. Merci.
Merci.